Sirs, arrest this man. He refused to attend my daughter's wedding.
Karen had done it again, and at this point, I was convinced she treated chaos like a daily vitamin. Every new shenanigan became worse than the last, almost like she practiced in front of a mirror before unleashing them on the neighborhood. I never imagined a day would come when I'd end up in jail for simply not attending a wedding, but with Karen, the line between normal life and pure insanity disappeared a long time ago. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. Now let's back it up a little bit. Karen's daughter's wedding was approaching, and Karen was working herself up like she was planning a royal coronation instead of a simple ceremony. She bragged nonstop at the mailbox in the group chat during HOA meetings about how this wedding would be the most talked about event in the entire city, maybe even the entire state. She said it so often that some neighbors started avoiding their own front yards just to escape her speeches. She carried around color-coded binders like she was coordinating a military operation. Every time she flipped a page, she'd gasp dramatically as if she discovered a new prophecy. She even walked door to door asking people what they planned to wear, nodding disapprovingly at almost every answer. It didn't matter if you said a suit or a dress. Karen responded like you'd admitted you were showing up in swimwear. Still, I didn't think any of this would become my problem. I figured if she wanted fireworks, doves, a violin quartet, and maybe a fog machine, she could knock herself out. I never planned on attending that, and honestly, it didn't cross my mind that she would notice, let alone take it personally. But Karen always found a way to make the smallest thing explode into a neighborhood crisis. The more she talked, the more the whole situation started feeling less like a wedding and more like a nationwide event she expected us all to sacrifice our schedules for. And if there's one thing Karen hated more than anything, it was someone not falling in line with her grand plans. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. Karen's chaos didn't slow down after all her dramatic wedding announcements. In fact, it escalated faster than wildfire on a windy afternoon. A week before the ceremony, she marched around the neighborhood like a tax collector from ancient times, sliding letters into every mailbox with a grin that said, "I dare you to argue with me." When I picked up mine, the envelope was thick, like she stuffed it with extra nonsense just to stress me out. And, oh, she did. The letter stated that every homeowner was invited to her daughter's wedding, but the twist came fast. We were only invited if we paid a small fee of $200 to be let into the venue. She wrote it casually, like charging neighbors to attend a wedding was as normal as borrowing sugar. I nearly dropped the paper. Then came the part that made me question her sanity entirely. She demanded every guest bring a gift worth no less than $1,000. She even underlined it twice and added a smiley face, the kind of smiley that felt like a threat. As if that wasn't enough, she declared nobody would be allowed to bring their phones inside for security reasons. At that point, I wondered if she planned a ceremony or a secret ritual involving robes and candles. The letter kept going with even more outrageous demands, but the final line truly took the crown. Any homeowner who fails to attend will be fined $500 by the HOA. I stared at that sentence so long my eyes started burning. She acted like missing her daughter's wedding was a criminal offense. Some neighbors panicked immediately, already planning outfits and scraping together the ridiculous fees. But not me. There was no universe, timeline, or dimension where I was paying Karen a single cent. I reread the letter, took a deep breath, and realized I had just been drafted into a war I never volunteered for. Because if there's one thing Karen loved more than control, it was punishing anyone who dared resist her. And from that moment, she saw me as her next target. The wedding day arrived like a storm everyone saw coming, but nobody could stop. Karen strutted around the neighborhood that morning, wearing a sparkling robe that looked like it was stolen from a stage performer. She held a clipboard as if she were conducting inspections, checking off which neighbors were heading to the venue and which ones were violating community expectations. I watched from my porch with a cup of coffee, refusing to give her the satisfaction of eye contact. When she realized I was staying home, she glared so hard I thought the sun dimmed for a moment. The ceremony came and went, and the next day the neighborhood felt split in two, those who attended and those who didn't. The ones who went looked exhausted, like Karen had drained their souls with a handshake. The rest of us, the so-called rebels, braced ourselves for whatever she had planned next. I didn't wait long. She marched to my porch that afternoon, heels clacking like warning shots, waving a bright pink slip covered in bold handwriting. "You've been fined $500, she declared dramatically, like she was serving a royal decree. I barely had time to blink before she added, "And that's only the beginning." I took the paper, read the nonsense she scribbled, and laughed. That made her furious. She leaned in and started yelling about rules, respect, and mandatory community participation, her voice echoing through the neighborhood like a broken megaphone. She ended her performance by promising to make my life hell till I paid every fine. A few neighbors, shaken by her threats, started paying theirs, but I wasn't budging. My mailbox kept filling with more penalty slips, each more ridiculous than the last. The totals stacked like a fake bill she was trying to build a castle from. Eventually, she threatened to call the cops, claiming I was willfully ignoring legal obligations. I told her to go right ahead. Honestly, I begged her to. The madness had reached a point where I needed an outside referee to witness how far she'd lost her mind. She smirked like she'd won something, spun on her heels, and marched off as if summoning law enforcement would be the grand finale of her power trip. Karen wasted no time calling the cops. She dialed with the confidence of someone who believed the universe personally backed her decisions. I watched from my porch as she paced around her yard, rehearsing her speech, probably imagining herself being applauded for her bravery. When the police car finally pulled up, she straightened her blouse, fixed her hair, and walked toward the officers like she was meeting royalty. She pointed at my house dramatically, whispering with wild hand gestures, acting like she had uncovered the crime of the century. The officers approached me calmly, and I greeted them with the same energy. I explained the situation from top to bottom, every fine, every letter, every outrageous demand tied to that infamous wedding. They listened carefully, occasionally glancing over at Karen, who was standing behind them, mouthing words like dangerous and non-compliant resident. When I handed the officers the stack of fines she had written, their faces tightened. One of them asked her bluntly, "Ma'am, under what authority are you issuing these?" Karen puffed up like a balloon about to pop and launched into a dramatic speech about community standards, mandatory unity, and protecting the sanctity of her daughter's wedding. It didn't take long for the officers to realize Karen had no legal authority to fine anyone for skipping a wedding. They pulled her aside and questioned her more intensely, and that's when cracks started forming in her confidence. The officers discovered she had been using the HOA name without proper approval, forging signatures, and threatening residents with fake punishments. Her face went pale. She tried blaming everyone except herself, even claiming her daughter pressured her, but nothing worked. The cops didn't arrest me. They arrested her. Watching Karen being escorted to the police car was like witnessing a solar eclipse. Rare, beautiful, and unforgettable. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.